couple of the speakers last night at the gala dinner spoke about, well, Mr. Rasmussen said education, education, education. Rabbi Kovish as well. It was a big part of Madame Beloubi's speech. And this was obviously a big part of what we wanted to talk about at conference. In fact, when we had our discussions, our planning, education featured as a major part of our agenda. So just before I hand you over to our first panel and our moderator, I would like to say that on the agenda, as an oversight on my part, one can imagine when you have the Queen or the King at the state banquet, you don't always add the King or the Queen's name to the invitation. It should be a given, but we also have on this particular panel Dr. Ferenc Olti from Hungary, and Dr. Ferenc Olti, who will be joining the panel after our keynote speakers, has been instrumental in an educational program which has been reforming school curriculums and textbooks in Hungary. It was such a good system, such a good model that the EGA, working with our partners, the APL, have decided to bring it out across Europe. You're going to be hearing about that this morning. And we are really delighted and honored that Dr. Olti could join us from Hungary to be part of this panel. And we very much look forward to hearing his discourse. So without further ado, I'm going to hand over to my dear colleague, Carmen Shalai, who's going to take it from here. Thank you, Carmen.
Thank you, Alex. Thank you very much. Good morning, everyone. My name is Kalman Salai. I am the Secretary of Action and Protection Foundation Budapest and the Director of Action and Protection League based on Brussels. So it's my privilege to welcome all of you in this panel discussion today morning. So our panel will focus on education as an instrument in promoting the value of tolerance and combating anti-Semitism. It's a principle I see at work in my capacity as a Secretary of Action and Protection Foundation. So let me invite first the State Secretary of Croatian Minister of Education and Science of Croatia, Professor Branka Ramljak, to share her thoughts with us as a keynote speaker. Professor?
Good morning, everyone. I hope you sleep well. So, dear ladies and gentlemen, dear colleagues, it's my great honor and privilege to be here. And great thanks to organizers for inviting me to present a Croatian experience in the issue of the education system and the issue of the Holocaust and how we against with violence and how respond our education system on the rise of anti-Semitism through the Europe. This year, in late January, I attended the international commemoration of the 75th anniversary of the liberation of the Nazi concentration camp Auschwitz-Birkenau, the death factory, that killed over 1 million people. 1 million people. Commemoration was a powerful message sent to the world by all the present leaders and surviving witnesses. On me personally, visit and commemoration has made a deep and strong impact. Our generations, which nevertheless almost 3 decades ago experienced the horrors of war, and the return of ethnic cleansing on the soil of Europe has an additional responsibility in the clear condemnation of this madness in which the negation of humanity culminated. The policy that government of the Republic of Croatia stands for is that all socio-political, professional, scientific, and especially educational mechanisms must find their place in nurturing a culture of memory, in engaging, in seeking and accepting the truth. In the last 17 years, teaching and learning about the Holocaust in the Republic of Croatia has undergone significant changes, which have contributed to raising its status and importance in the education system. Along the way, the ministry had the continuous support of teaching and training agency, non-governmental organizations, as well as our many foreign associates, with particular emphasis on the Yad Vashem in Israel, Memorial de la Shoah in France, and the American Holocaust Organization in the United States. Collaboration with international organizations is extremely important to us because it gives us access to professional expertise and teaching materials and insight into the results of recent scientific research. The organizing of these educations was greatly supported by local communities and existing Jewish municipalities, as well as teachers who preserved the memory of the victims of the cruelty and inhumanity of fascist and Nazi concentration camps and the suffering of their fellow citizens. The aim of the systematic trainings conducted since 2005 is to provide teachers of various subjects with valuable insights, knowledge, and ideas through offered presentations, workshops, and discussions that will show them how to advance the teaching about the Holocaust, but also to raise awareness of the importance of this topic for teaching of all sensitive and controversial topics. Specifically, teaching about the Holocaust can indicate, to paraphrase the ERA recommendations, how power can be used and abused, and emphasize the role and responsibility of individuals, organizations, and nations when confronted with human rights violations, can show us how prejudice, racism, anti-Semitism, anti-Ziganism, and stereotypes are generated. How the modern nation can use its technical expertise and bureaucratic infrastructure to carry out a destructive policy that extends from social engineering to genocide, but also provides a context for exploring the dangers posed by abstaining from raising a voice against it and indifference when faced with tyranny of others. It teaches us, as citizens in a democracy, to recognize the signs of danger and how to respond to them. Because, as Professor Yehuda Bauer said, the horror of the Holocaust is not that it divided from human norms. The horror is that it didn't. What happened may happen again to others, not necessarily Jews, perpetrated by others, not necessarily Germans. We are all possible victims, possible perpetrators, possible bystanders. Therefore, it is very good that the interest in education and teaching about Holocaust is not diminishing, and that every year we have more than 100 new motivated teachers who want to learn and develop their competences in teaching this complex topic. In addition to all the mentioned activities related to the teaching of the Holocaust, the Ministry of Science and Education finances visits of schools to Memorial Site Jasenovac and its museum. In the context of teaching history and learning about Second World War, At authentic site, students attend educational program developed in line with recent methodology, with sufficient space for students' reflection with the accompanying teachers. This can be a good starting point for collaborating and participating in school projects, commemorating and exploring those hidden histories that seek painful confrontation with one's own past, and the message that oblivion doesn't and shouldn't happen. Forgetting crime is denying man, and denying his humanity. Therefore, we aim to teach our young generations how to overcome differences and to build a future in which tolerance, dialogue, and mutual respect will become the basis and lasting pledge of peace. And finally, I'm university professor too, not just state secretary at the Ministry of Science and Education. Thank you very much for all speeches yesterday and today, because I learned a lot of things about tolerance, about love. Dear friends, I will share this information with my colleagues at the ministry, with my teachers, and with my students, because all needs to know. And of course, I'm aware that education is the first step and the first and the main and important things to against violence. Thank you very much.
Professor Ramljak, thank you very much for this nice thought. So the next keynote speaker will be Ms. Regina Sloesny, the president of Forum of Jewish Organization in Belgium, and also vice president of Hidden Children. The floor is yours.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you for inviting me and to giving me some time to explain what we do in Belgium, and especially in the Flemish part of Belgium. It's about 25 years that I'm visiting schools. Last year, I was in more than 100 schools to tell the story, my story, and the story of my husband who passed away 3 years ago. Both of us were hidden children. I was only 2.5 years when my parents were denounced, and we had a lot of luck because somebody came to warn us, go. He said to my parents, take your 2 boys, maybe you leave the little one here. I was 2.5, I was blonde. My name was a Flemish name, Regina, and I was a very happy child for 3.5 years in that horrible war, where my husband lost 7 of his nearest family members. And because of the people who saved not only me for 3.5 years, but also brought food to my parents, I took it upon me to go to the schools and to talk about these righteous people who took in people they didn't even know a few minutes before or an hour before. They didn't even know what a Jew meant for them. But they had a good heart. And in Belgium, there was more than 50% of the Jewish people were saved. So I think it's my duty to let the Belgian children know that they can choose in life. And that's what I tell them. There will come a moment where you have to make a choice, and sometimes you don't have a lot of time to do that. So let your heart speak and take the good way to do it. They helped me, they saved my life. The man, Charles, would take food and go and found my parents in 15 different places where they had to hide during the 3.5 years. They survived, my brother survived, and when the war was finished, they wrote to my mother, "Come and pick up your child." Well, I thought I was home because I was loved. I had food because they had a food store. And they loved me. And I thought, I knew I wasn't their child. I knew my parents were alive, but I felt at home. Luckily, my mom asked them, how can we do something to say thank you? And they asked, don't take her away from us completely. So I went there every weekend, while my parents were very Orthodox Jews. So in the week I was an Orthodox girl going to an Orthodox school. And the weekend I didn't know what it was to be a Jewish child. Everything went very well. So I'm the example that everybody, if they are Christian or Jews or whatever faith they have, they can live together. It's only if we choose the good way to do it. And that's what I go to these more than 100 schools to tell them. It's possible. There is no one better than the other one. We can't choose which family we are born in, but we can choose the good way in life and not the bad way. And there's only two groups of people for me, because the ones who don't do anything, they're not much better than the ones who were in the bad group. Because you have to choose in life, and every day I get up and I hope one thing, or that I can help somebody or something, or that I still learn something new, because even from little children we can learn. This is my goal in life, and the children are all of them, from 12 till university. They all listen to me. They all come with a lot of questions, because I tell them there is not stupid questions. Every question is valuable. And they all listen, and they all write to me afterwards. And I'm very lucky that a few of them wrote that it's changed their life by listening to me, what I went through in the war. So education is really very, very important from very young age. They have to learn to live together, especially when I go to schools where there is only 5% of real Belgian kids in the class. And they sit there with their eyes closed, waiting to tell me, they don't dare tell me, we don't want to listen to you, because it's mandatory and they have to listen to me. But they show me that they're not interested. And to open their eyes, I asked them, did you choose the family you were born in? And then they are very upset. They open their eyes and they want to know what I have more stupid things, because they think it's stupid, my question. But I make them listen. And I'm very lucky that I always find a way, whatever question they have, to give them a good answer. Because not answering to a child is losing the child. So education for children, wherever they are, and from 12, if it goes about the war, is a good age to start. And I hope that everybody can understand that. I went to Aalst last week, and you all had the Carnival of Aalst, and one of the mothers who was in Parliament, she asked me to come and speak with the class of children of 12. Well, a pin, if you would have dropped it, you would have heard that kind of interest they had. But the grown-up people, I spoke with them. After last year, they just don't want to understand. So we have still a lot of work there. But with the children, I'll go back and I try to do all schools in Aalst, at least if they come home. Maybe if they talk with the parents, this will help. I hope so. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, you have heard some action which is to follow in our initiatives. Our aim in this conference to drive and promote the actions. So what I've heard previously, this is an action to follow. So, ladies and gentlemen, I'm convinced that education can only provide lasting solution to the challenges of anti-Semitism. We should educate children as early as possible to gain the effective result. Of course, it is important to find the most appropriate methodology for the different age of groups. As Ramban said, teach the children their own ways. They never leave when they become adult. The education program of Action and Protection Foundation is put together in a way that it offers targeted actions at various levels of education system. For elementary school, for high schools, colleges, and also in the frame of adult educations. We at the Action and Protection Foundation have organized many workshops and trainings, especially for law enforcement, the police department, experts in the judicial system, and have cooperated with the Shoah Foundation, launching a Teach the Trainer program in Hungary, together with Zohar Foundation. Some of them know this name, probably. So, but this panel discussion is about another important and successful initiatives that we implemented in Hungary. That initiatives aim to review textbooks and worksheets used in elementary and high schools from a Jewish perspective. We wanted to promote the Jewish history, the Jewish life, the Jewish culture, the religion, and the relation between the Jewish community and the local majority society are presented and are appeared in a proper and accurate way. So in this meaning, we revised 15 elementary school books and 28 secondary school books in Hungary. As a result, 65% of the revised book and the proposed 450 amendments have been accepted by the authorities and the author or editors. The revised books are used by nearly 1 million students in Hungary. The initiative is being expanded to another European countries. We already had a discussion with additional educational officials in 7 European members countries who are interested in a launch with very similar programs. So we are really honored to have a very distinguished panel which is familiar with the importance of education. So our partner in this panel discussion, the participant, Dr. Ferenc Olti, who are the only and the first education expert in the Jewish community in Hungary, and will enrich our conversation and bring unique perspective to our discussion And what is also really important, this discussion is all about action, and which would be an example to follow. So I would like to invite to the floor Dr. Ferenc Olti to talk about this initiative has been carried out in Hungary in 2016 and 2017. Please have a seat, Feri. So let me have a first question. What was the situation at the very beginning of this project? When did it start? And what was the circumstances that call alive this project?
I become very angry when realized that my children learn about the Nazis positively from their regular textbook. It was around 7 years ago when I decided to do something against this horrible situation. I was completely alone, without any institutional background.